It's been a tough year for workers who are facing real terms pay cuts. It's been a tough year for people in poverty struggling to pay their energy bills. And it's been a tough year for anyone unfortunate enough to get sick and to need to use our crumbling NHS. But maybe I'm missing someone. I feel like there's another group of people who are having a really difficult year that we just don't consider enough on this show. That's right. Landlords.
I just feel like I have to say that being a landlord in London is a horrible, horrible job, and it's so thankless. I'm a good landlord. I'm a landlord for one property, and my tenant just moved out after living there for 3 years. I gave her a perfect, beautiful, freshly painted, everything in it property. I come back after she's moved out. My furniture is missing. She spray painted in gold my fireplace, pieces of my furniture. Couldn't even bother to put newspaper on the carpet. It's all splotches. And everyone's talking about like London tenants, yeah? And like, oh, poor them. You know, what about poor me? Poor landlord. I have one property. You know, people think, oh, landlords are like, they're fine. You know, we're like Bernie Madoff or something, sitting at home, counting stacks of cash, you know? Actually, that rent I'm making, it's like half of it goes to all the payments you have to make, you know, and all the things you have to do just to please tenants. And then we just get treated so bad. I just don't get it. Like, what's the deal?
The deal is we're annoyed that we're all paying your mortgages. You take half of our income every month to pay your mortgage. You know, you always hear this from, I hardly make any money. All the money I make goes on expenses and repairs. I don't normally believe it anyway. But even if that is the case, if most of your profit goes on repairs, still, in 30 years' time, you're going to have a very valuable house. And guess who will have bought you that house? People who go out to work instead of just waiting for rent to come in at the end of the month. Dahlia, do you think she put her argument persuasively? What about me? What about poor me? What about the landlords?
Oh my God, just awful. Like, first of all, landlordism isn't a job. Like, and if you think it's a job, then why are you so surprised that people are asking you to work for your check? But it's not a job. It is an investment, and investment comes with risk. You aren't entitled to a return on your investment. That's capitalism, baby. That's the system that you're so into. Like, keep up with the program. That's not us making those rules. That's the rules that you are benefiting from. Secondly, it's also not thankless. You get a lot of free money for it, for doing barely anything. And thirdly, obviously, there's this like ridiculously annoying idea of like the critique of landlordism doesn't apply to me because I'm a good landlord. First of all, this landlord is in London, which means that she is probably getting nearly 50% of her renter's paycheck every month. If you are getting 50% of my paycheck every month, you don't get to like get a pat on the back or like to get a nice little round of applause for giving me a decent place to live. Like, there's this idea that if you're not letting the property be infested by vermin, if it's not falling apart, then somehow that means that you're a good person. It's like giving you a dignified place to live is the bare minimum for the amount of free money that you get. It's not a fair deal. You can't just be like, it's a fair deal if I'm giving this person a decent place to live. Our housing stock has been bought up by a relatively small number of people who are now holding us all hostage because they own all of the stuff that we need. Okay, so nothing about this is fair. So the idea that you should get, props for making the place that you are holding me hostage in decent is ridiculous. And it's also really interesting because I actually watched some of her follow-up videos. And in one of them, she talks about how obviously other landlords got in touch with her after she put this video out and told her about the idea of, you can inspect a property as long as you give 24 hours notice. And she said, I didn't know you could do this. I thought that because this was someone's home, you can't just go in whenever you want. Now that I know I can do that, I'm going to make use of that. So it just goes to show that, like, it doesn't matter what your individual personality is or what you think about yourself as. This is an economic relationship. You have economic and legal power over your tenant. And I know for sure that when push comes to shove, you will exercise that power. So whether or not you think of yourself as a good person is irrelevant here. And finally, again, that obviously ridiculous idea of, oh, you say poor tenants, what about poor landlords? When we talk about the violation of tenants' rights in this country, we are talking about people living in dilapidated, unsafe housing. We are talking about the number of people who are being hospitalized with breathing issues because there is so much unresolved damp in their property. We are talking about unsafe vermin infestations. We are talking, in one of the houses that I've rented, I've been renting for over 10 years. In one of them, we had a gas cooker that was malfunctioning and was basically a death trap. And it took us months and months to wrangle the landlord into fixing it. So we're talking about people living in unsafe housing, and you're coming on TikTok to cry because someone got a bit of paint on your carpet. Like, we're not living in the same world. Like, when you and I are not the same. And so obviously it's completely absurd. She deserves all the backlash she's gotten. And I just want to say, good for that tenant spray painting her fireplace gold. I hope she enjoyed her gold fireplace. Because one thing that's so rank about renting is that you never get to really make your house into a home, because you don't know how long you're going to be there. You don't know how long it's going to be before your landlord hikes up your rent and you can't afford to live there anymore. So you're always reluctant to really invest in the place that you live and make it your own. And so I actually love it for her that she was like, screw you. If I want a gold fireplace and I'm going to make my dreams come true. I don't care. Like, take all my deposit. I don't even care. So good for her. I hope she had a good time.
I just wish they had TikTok in the 15th century so we could watch the sort of self-pitying videos of minor feudal lords. Like, I've only got a few acres. The guy down the road from me has a whole region. And, I know these serfs have to work 50% of their time on my land to give me the wealth I have. But I've got so many rooms to heat. No one thinks of the minor feudal lords.